Okay, next question. Noah's flood. What about all that water? I mean, we're not talking about a little bit of water here. We're talking about water to flood the planet. Well, where did the water come from? Well, most creationists believe, well, first of all, the documentation on the Genesis flood is given to us not only in Genesis, but throughout the Old Testament there's references to the Genesis flood, and the New Testament, and there's all kinds of other historical sources. In fact, almost all cultures in the world have flood legends. And those flood legends relate to the flood of Noah, and it describes the flood in some detail. So where did the water come from? Well, most creationists believe there's two sources of the water. There's a vapor canopy above the earth that was created on day number 2. The water's above. Okay, that would have compressed the earth's atmosphere and changed conditions on the planet. And there's also the subterranean water, which God describes in Genesis as being released from the fountains of the great deep. So there's two sources of water. During this process, this action of the flood on the earth, a number of things would have happened. Animals would have been trapped and buried by the tremendous amount of erosion taking place by these aqueous processes. That creates the fossil record. Vegetation would have been washed together and buried. That creates the, what we call the coal and oil, the fossil fuels. Thank you. Fossil fuels. We have huge amount of geological work taking place for this water, and then of course the ice age we referred to before. If we took the earth today and made it smooth like a ping pong ball, the water on the surface would be 9,000 feet deep, slightly less than 2 miles. So there's a tremendous amount of water on this planet itself. Now, a lot of it's in ocean basins that are much deeper than 2 miles, so it doesn't cover the whole earth. But the point, if you made the earth perfectly smooth, you have 9,000 feet. So it's not hard to understand how the earth could have been completely flooded by the water of the flood. And of course, all the creatures would have become fossils. There's going to be a fossil. One of the things that Answers in Genesis has done over the last couple years is put together a series of booklets, and I didn't bring them tonight, but I'll make a reference to where you can get them and stuff. But a series of booklets that answer some of these questions, and I'm just going to go back and refer to these. We're about halfway through here. Where did Cain get his wife? Dinosaurs in the Bible. Adam's rib, about genetics. Where the races come from? Is there really a God? We'll come to some of these. Why is there death and suffering? So there's a tremendous amount of resources or booklets that can answer some